Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive, often overlooked part of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it happens way before you even think about tying your belts or stepping onto the tatami. We're talking about fueling your roll. Specifically, we're going to master the absolute best strategy to optimize that critical 2 to 3 hour window right before you train.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt your stomach completely drop during a heavy knee on belly? Or, maybe you've just totally gassed out by the third round of sparring, feeling like your muscles are running on absolute empty. If you've spent literally any time on the mats, you know exactly the physical reality I'm talking about here. The fuel you put into your body directly dictates your performance, your mental focus, and honestly, your pure survival when someone's applying heavy top pressure. So today, we're going to fix that.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're taking a 6-part journey to solve mid-roll fatigue. 1. The BJJ nutrition problem. 2. The 2 to 3 hour formula. 3. Building the BJJ plate. 4. Safe versus risky foods. 5. The 5-step method. And 6. Troubleshooting mat problems. All right, moving right into part 1, the BJJ nutrition problem, and exactly why standard advice completely fails us on the mats. So, a huge mistake a lot of practitioners make is just copy-pasting the diet of a marathon runner or maybe a bodybuilder. But BJJ is a totally unique beast, right? Running is this continuous aerobic effort, and weightlifting is mostly static anaerobic bursts. But jiu-jitsu, it intermixes aerobic endurance with these crazy high-intensity anaerobic bursts. You're constantly flipping between maximum pressure and isometric grip fighting. And on top of all that physiological demand, you've got literal, severe physical compression on your stomach from closed guards, takedowns getting inverted. Eating a massive bowl of fiber before training like a runner? Yeah, that might work on the track, but on the mat, it's pretty much a recipe for disaster. Which brings us directly to part 2, the 2 to 3 hour formula. Let's look at exactly what your body needs in that specific window before stepping on the mat. So the crucial point is really captured in this idea right here. The best meal isn't the most fitness, it's the one you digest well and repeat with consistency. Think about that for a second. We have to completely reframe how we view healthy pre-training food. Things that are super healthy in your day-to-day life, like a massive raw salad or heavy beans, those are terrible tools right before training because they just digest way too slowly. What we need right now is pure efficiency. Let's break down the actual macronutrient math. Carbohydrates are the absolute star of the show here, the protagonist. You're aiming for 1 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. This is what fuels your muscle glycogen for those explosive scrambles. Protein, that's the support character, helping your muscles repair without slowing you down. Keep it right around 0.25 to 0.40 grams per kilogram, which usually looks like 20 to 40 grams total. But here's the real trick. Fat and fiber have got to be kept to an absolute minimum. They dramatically slow down gastric emptying, which basically leaves food just sitting right in your stomach. And finally, you want 5 to 10 milliliters of water per kilogram, getting most of that done before the warm-up even begins. Okay, abstract math is great and all, but let's translate that into real-world food portions. Part 3, building the BJJ plate. And this brilliantly illustrates what your pre-training meal should actually look like on the table. Think of this as your visual rule of thumb. 1/2 to 2/3 of your plate should be easy to digest carbohydrates. Remember, this is your primary energy engine. Then add a portion of lean protein roughly the size of the palm of your hand. And as for vegetables, fruits, and fats, keep them to a bare minimum. Because again, we want the stomach empty and the muscles fully loaded when that timer starts. Moving on to part 4, safe versus risky foods. Let's look at exactly what to eat and what to avoid to keep your session on track. Check out the stark contrast here between what works and what absolutely hurts. On the safe side, we're looking at simple, easily digestible carbs like white rice, tapioca, regular pasta, maybe some white potatoes. For proteins, think chicken breast, white fish, or just a simple whey shake. But then look at the high-risk side. Feijoada, giant bowls of beans, massive raw salads, fatty cuts of meat, and heavy stuff like pizza or burgers. Those risky foods demand a massive amount of blood flow to your stomach just to digest them. And you know what? That's blood flow that literally should be going to your forearms and your legs during a tough roll. Of course, knowing the foods is one thing, but actually applying it is another. So here's part 5, the 5-step method, your personal framework. For this, I want you to think of yourself as a scientist and your body is the laboratory. Step 1, choose the intensity of your upcoming session. A light drilling class just needs fewer carbs than a grueling competition camp, right? Step 2, calculate those carbs based on that intensity, aiming for that 1 to 2 grams per kilogram roll. Step 3, pick your lean protein. Step 4, strictly control that fat and fiber. And step 5, intelligently add your water, plus maybe a pinch of sodium if you're someone who really sweats heavily. This whole framework empowers you to build a plate customized exactly to your own body and the specific type of session you're about to jump into.
But hey, what happens when things still go wrong? Part 6, troubleshooting mat problems. Let's fix those tatami issues, especially for those of you dealing with the brutal reality of competition. Here is exactly how you self-correct when things go sideways. If you feel a heavy stomach, your overall volume, fat, or fiber was simply too high. Quick fix? Swap those beans out for white rice next time. If you get acid reflux during warm-ups, you need to completely cut out acidic foods, stuff like coffee, spicy sauces, or citrus juice, right before you train. Now, what if you're gassing out? Especially if you're a competitive athlete preparing for multiple matches, gassing out is a very real threat. To adjust your carb intake and maintain energy between tournament bouts, you need to bump up your carbs slightly, but do it through simple liquid or solid snacks that drastically reduce gastrointestinal stress. If you've got a long wait, I've got 3 quick, incredibly gut-friendly snack options perfect for between match recovery. Grab a simple banana, a carbohydrate-based sports drink, or a piece of white bread with just a little honey. These are game changers because they provide instant glycogen without sitting like a rock in your gut.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a full daily timing sequence. 4 hours out from the mat, that's when you start your hydration. Around the 3-hour mark, consume that base solid meal we built. The rice and chicken or the pasta. At 2 hours out, if your base meal was a bit smaller, you could have a lighter, easily digested snack. And by 0 hours, you are fully primed to train. Oh, and a crucial note on competition. If you're competing and dealing with those highly unpredictable wait times between matches, this whole timeline condenses. You're going to rely heavily on those lighter, easily digested liquid or semi-liquid snacks about 30 to 60 minutes out from your bout. That way, you're never caught off guard with a heavy, full stomach when your name finally gets called to the bullpen.
All right, we've covered the physiology, the macro math, the actual foods, and the timeline, which brings us to our final big question for you. What one variable will you change in your pre-training diary next week? Are you going to cut the fiber, swap out your protein, or maybe really dial in your timing? Don't go crazy and change everything at once. Just pick one variable, test it out on the mats, and watch your endurance absolutely soar. Thanks for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you on the mats.